as we last spoke, we were talking about the importance of nitrogen. Our atmosphere is 80% nitrogen. Every time you take a breath, 8 parts out of 10 is going to be nitrogen. So why is it that poor little nitrogen gets so little press? And by the way, people who make a living with their body, namely athletes and bodybuilders, they know all about nitrogen. They're always talking about nitrogen retention. I think the reason that nitrogen gets so little respect is the fact that while 80% of the air we breathe is nitrogen, the fact is that nitrogen might as well not even be there. If it weren't for the activities of the lowliest of life forms, tiny little bacteria, for the most part, nitrogen wouldn't do anything at all. Because while 80% of the air we breathe is nitrogen, nitrogen is inert. In chemistry, we say it's stable, which basically means it doesn't do anything. In chemistry, if something is stable, that means it doesn't do anything. If something is unstable, that means it has lots of activity. Nitrogen, thankfully anyway, is tremendously stable. But as they say, still water runs deep. And beneath nitrogen's sleepy, dormant exterior is an unbelievable powerhouse. Life itself depends on the stupendous power, the unbelievable energy of this little element nitrogen. In biological systems, nitrogen concentrates itself. It's found wherever biological work has to be done. That's why your muscles are almost 20%, between 15 and 20% nitrogen. Nitrogen is found wherever there is work to be done. It turns out that when shy little nitrogen is manipulated correctly, it has a really, really energetic nature. Now, bacteria can do it. Bacteria have an ability to convert inactive, inert, dormant, sleepy nitrogen into an active form. We talked about that yesterday. That's called nitrogen fixing. Nitrogen fixation, and farmers know all about nitrogen fixation because plants depend on it. So nitrogen has this explosive power. It's used in muscle building, and it's used by the body wherever there needs to be building, and wherever there needs to be growth, and wherever there needs to be repair. Nitrogen is the quintessential anti-aging and building element. And by the way, because we're talking about cardiovascular health here, nitrogen is very, very, very important for the heart. Nitrogen is what makes protein so important, because in fact, protein is nothing more than carbohydrate plus nitrogen. Occasionally you'll find a little bit of sulfur in there too. But basically, protein is a carbohydrate with nitrogen. The difference between sugar and protein is nitrogen. The way it works is nitrogen being stable and inert, nitrogen being sleepy, as we said, gets converted by bacteria at the roots of plants. That's called fixing, nitrogen fixation. And now the plants can use the nitrogen to make protein. Animals then eat the plants, and then the animals use the nitrogen for making muscle and bone and all the other proteins in the body. They excrete the rest as manure. Earthworms and soil organisms process this manure, and the plants use the nitrogen, and then the cycle starts again. The key point here to keep in mind is that in addition to the cycling of nitrogen, animals and humans are using nitrogen to build. You can even tell how much you're building, how much you're in build-up mode, by how much nitrogen you're excreting. The more nitrogen you're excreting, the less you're building. When you're sick, you're going to be excreting more nitrogen. When you're young, when you're vital, when you're growing, when you're repairing, when you're healing, when you're building protein, you're going to be retaining more nitrogen. That's why bodybuilders will talk about nitrogen retention. Sometimes they'll call it positive nitrogen balance. And this whole nitrogen cycle that plants depend on is what farmers call nitrogen management. Nitrogen might be quiet and nitrogen might be shy, but when it's manipulated correctly, whether it's manipulated by bacteria or whether it's manipulated in factories, it is in a very real and literal way responsible for life itself. So all protein contains nitrogen, or more specifically, all amino acids contain nitrogen. That's their distinguishing feature. What we're talking about for the next couple of days is the amino acid arginine, A-R-G-I-N-I-N-E, arginine. And we'll be talking about it for the next couple of days, and I like to call arginine super amino acid because it has lots of nitrogen. All amino acids are going to contain some nitrogen. It's what distinguishes them from carbohydrates, from fats and sugars. But most amino acids have one nitrogen atom. and some may have 2. But arginine has 4 atoms of nitrogen. It's the most nitrogen-rich amino acid. And because of amino acids' importance, because what makes amino acids important comes from nitrogen, the fact that arginine has 4 nitrogen atoms makes it a super, super, super powerful amino acid. And it's what makes arginine really important for cardiovascular health. The heart is a protein-dense muscle. It depends on nitrogen amino acids. It depends on nitrogen for its strength, like all muscle does. And arginine has 4 nitrogens available for the production of protein. In many ways, heart failure is actually a muscle issue, and arginine is a muscle-building amino acid. Arginine is critical for the formation of all muscle. Bodybuilders love arginine. If you're an athlete, if you're depending on the health of your body for your profession, for making money, you want to be using arginine. Arginine, by the way, gets turned into creatine, which is one of the most important muscle-building compounds of all. If you're using creatine, you may want to beef it up with a little bit of arginine. For some of you wondering out there that makes creatine a heart important or a cardiovascular important nutrient, you're thinking along the right track. There are several studies that suggest that creatine does have heart health benefits, and according to MayoClinic.com, people with cardiovascular disease actually have lower levels of creatine in their heart tissue. All right, we'll continue our discussion on arginine and creatine, nitrogen, and protein for cardiovascular health when we come back from our break. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Our number is 866-582-9933. We're going to take a break and come back right after this. Don't go away. Steve writes, Dear Ben, my cardiologist wants me to take a beta blocker, propranolol, to slow down my heartbeat and reduce pressure in the coronary arteries due to the presence of plaque in my coronary arteries. This, even though the plaque does not appear to be any worse than 12 years ago when I had a minor heart attack. My blood pressure is usually around 120 to 125 over 72 to 76. Plaque is estimated at 20 to 25%. Cholesterol 156 appear in pretty good shape with the side effects. I'm not inclined to take such a thing. Smart thinking, Steve, even though I thought he knew what he was doing. Are there nutritional supplement alternatives to reduce the work the heart does and clear out the plaque? Absolutely, Steve. First of all, beta blockers like propranolol are among the nastiest drugs in the entire prescription drug formulary. Like the name implies, a beta blocker blocks things. In this particular case, a beta blocker blocks something called the beta nervous system. So a beta blocker blocks a certain part of the nervous system, the beta nervous system, and the idea being it shuts down the heart. It poisons the heart. Now, who in their right mind thinks it's a good idea to poison your heart? Of course, your cardiologist thinks it's a good idea to poison your heart, but your cardiologist also thinks it's a good idea to destroy your heart with cardiac ablation if you have arrhythmias. Now, I don't mean to be beating up on your particular cardiologist, but it's just the practice of cardiology that has presided over this healthcare disaster that now affects millions upon millions of people and kills millions of people around the world every year. Cardiology, the practice of cardiology, is an utter failure when it comes to day-to-day treatments. Now, when it comes to heart surgeries and saving people's lives from heart attacks, obviously our ability to manipulate the body and manipulate tissue and manipulate organs through surgical procedures is pretty advanced, and nobody is beating up on heart surgeons. It's the idea of treating cardiovascular disease on a day-to-day basis with pharmacological poisons that is the hallmark of stupidity when it comes to medicine. If you have a cardiovascular problem, what you want to do first and foremost is you want to focus on your digestive system. Things that get into the blood through the digestive system, foods that get into the blood through the digestive system, foods that aren't being processed appropriately, will cause blood to become sticky and viscous as the toxins and as the immune activity and as the inflammation builds up, and this will put pressure on the heart. So the fastest way, or the quickest way, or the healthiest way, the least toxic way to relieve the load on the heart is to make sure that your digestive system is operating as pristinely as possible. Now, I don't know you, Steve, but I'm telling you, chances are you've had a digestive condition all of your life, because most Americans do. And we've covered that at length. Secondly, you have to keep your blood sugar under control. The link between diabetes and blood sugar issues, or dysglycemia, problems with blood sugar, and heart disease is intimate, close, and well researched. The fact of the matter is that behind heart disease, more often than not, you will find problems with blood sugar and problems with insulin. How do you take care of your blood sugar? How do you take care of your insulin? Well, first of all, you eliminate the insulin spiking foods. Insulin spiking foods are foods that melt in your mouth. White bread and cereal and corn and flour and potatoes and processed foods of all kinds, and desserts and cakes and candies and snacks and fruit juice. All of these will mess up your blood sugar, mess up your insulin, and more often than not, there will be some cardiovascular impact. So straightening out blood sugar issues, straightening out insulin, upping your protein, upping your essential fatty acids, and dropping your intake of insulin spiking foods. If you're one of those folks that absolutely positively has to have the sugar, by increasing your protein and increasing your essential fatty acids, you will naturally and easily be able to wean yourself off of insulin spiking foods. So part one for cardiovascular health, correct digestive symptomology. You can also use probiotics, and you can also use digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes have multiple benefits. Of course, they're going to help you with your digestion, but they will also keep your blood flowing appropriately and take the load off of the heart. So digestive enzymes can be specifically important for cardiovascular health, in addition to being important for the digestive system. Taking care of your blood sugar and insulin, in addition to reducing your intake of insulin spiking foods, you can also take in nutrients that support the blood sugar system. The B vitamins are superstar vitamins when it comes to supporting blood sugar, all of them, but most especially thiamine, vitamin B1, niacin, vitamin B3, and vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, by the way, has got some really important cardiovascular benefits just on its own. So make sure you're reducing your intake of the insulin spiking foods. Get yourself on the B vitamins, lots of them. Make sure you're on vitamin C. We haven't talked about vitamin C in cardiovascular health, but it's extremely important for heart health. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine is so cool because it's a great source of the B complex, and it's a great source of vitamin C. Make sure that you're on chromium and vanadium, two very important minerals for helping support blood sugar. And then please make sure you're on essential fatty acids. We spent a lot of time a couple of months ago talking about essential fatty acids. You may want to take a look at the archives or wade through the archives and find some of the shows where we talked about essential fatty acids. EFAs, in addition to being a major component of the electrical system, and of course the heart is an electrical organ, essential fatty acids are converted into what we're calling master hormones. Some people refer to them as prostaglandins and eicosanoids, and these prostaglandins that come directly from essential fatty acids are extremely important for all health, but especially for heart health, the heart moving so rapidly and so consistently. So essential fatty acids are another alternative. And I just named for you 7 or 8 different alternatives to nasty, toxic, deadly prescription drugs. I just named for you 7 or 8 alternatives that are way cheaper than prescription drugs, way less toxic than prescription drugs, and way more effective than prescription drugs. And on top of all of that, you will not need to have to interface with the medical model. You will not need to have to deal with insurance companies or doctors or pharmacies or all the other humiliating kinds of procedures and processes that we all are subjected to when we deal with the medical model. So you got lots of wonderful alternatives there. Good luck, and thanks so much for writing, Steve. Okay, continuing on with arginine and nitrogen for cardiovascular health. Arginine is important, and nitrogen is important for all building in the body. When you come home from the gym, you want to make sure you're taking your protein. You want to make sure you're getting your creatine. You want to make sure you're getting your aminos like arginine and glutamine, by the way, which is another very important nitrogen-rich amino acid, because after you've worked out, your body has used up its nitrogen or used up a certain amount of nitrogen. So you're going to want to replace that by making sure that you're getting in protein and amino acids and creatine when you come home from the gym. Arginine, by the way, is also extremely important for wound healing. In fact, it's one of the most functional nutritional supplements you can use if you're recovering from surgery or a burn or any kind of wound or abrasion. All right, got lots more to talk about cardiovascular health and nutritional supplements for cardiovascular health. We'll continue our discussion when we come back from a break and take your phone calls as well. 866-582-9933 is our number. We'll be back after this. All right, we are back on the bright side. Jeremy writes, I'm 33 years old, been listening since November 2011, and since then I've went through your catalog, on GCN Live. My girlfriend has hypothyroid, was on the verge of removing it, and amazingly, since November, amazingly, I researched till I found you. I'm not sure what he means there. Since November, she started taking iodine, the Healthy Start Pack. She's on a good whey protein. She has lost 22 pounds. Congratulations. Her thyroid is working again. It feels great. Awesome, Jeremy. I, too, have lost 32 pounds, working out regularly and supplementing with the same as my girlfriend. I bought the CO Pack a few weeks ago from your website and hope to get the word out about these products and your program on GCN Live. And I get these letters all the time, folks. Thanks, by the way, for writing, Jeremy. I get these letters all the time, folks, and I've seen this happen for the last going on 20 plus years. As soon as you get on a nutritional supplement program, for the most part, you will begin to notice a difference. As soon as you correct your digestive symptomology, for the most part, you're going to notice huge difference, and weight loss is just the beginning, folks. What we're really talking about here is much more than weight loss. We're talking about dramatically reducing your risks of degenerative breakdown disease. 80% of the diseases that we deal with in this country are degenerative disease, and in my opinion, degenerative disease is voluntary disease. It's disease of choice, because we have to choose. We have to go out of our way to make an active choice to actually have some kind of degenerative disease, because it's in the body's nature to not degenerate. It's in the body's nature to heal and recover, and you have to look no further than the last time you cut yourself to witness this powerful, powerful healing system that the human body is. If you are not healing, if you are not correcting biochemical imbalances, it's because you're choosing or you're making wrong choices. You have to choose to have a degenerative disease. Not necessarily voluntarily. I'm not saying people are voluntarily choosing, but they're still choosing to have a degenerative disease. No matter what you're dealing with, if it's in the realm of degeneration, arthritis and diabetes and autoimmune issues and inflammatory issues and mental health issues and Alzheimer's disease and on and on and on, chances are you're doing something wrong around the foods you're eating or around the nutrition you're getting or not getting. And that's why we're here on the program doing the bright side every day to help clear up some of this confusion around the world of nutritional supplementation. And thanks so much for writing, Jeremy. Appreciate it. We'll continue our discussion on arginine and nitrogen for healing and especially for cardiovascular health. Arginine gets turned into an extremely important molecule, very, very important for heart health, something that we've only known about for the last 20 years or so. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow and in the coming days as well. So you're going to want to tune into that. But we've got a bunch of folks on the line. I want to get to as many calls as we can. Our number is 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. And without further ado, let's go to Texas and talk to Champion. What's up, Champion?
Hi, Ben.
How's it going, bro?
Going all right. I'm actually a pharmacist also.
Oh, nice.
And I wanted to call in because mainly to say how amazed I was by your show. I've just recently discovered it, and my first show was when you were discussing taurine, and it absolutely blew me away how much you knew about taurine and about how much you were giving people information about taurine, because taurine, to me, is absolutely amazing.
It really is. It really is. It takes somebody who appreciates chemistry really to get to feel taurine, because it is an absolutely amazing amino acid. And it's amazing you don't hear about it a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's in like Red Bull and stuff like that, basically to keep people from killing themselves.
Right, to stabilize the heart. That's exactly why it's in there. That's why they call it Red Bull. I don't know if you heard me say that, but it gets the name Bull from the taurine that's in there. I appreciate that. Where do you work, Champion?
I work at a hospital in Austin.
Oh, nice. Well, cool. I'm glad you called. I'm glad you're listening. Thanks so much. Hopefully when I get out to Austin, I get to meet you in person.
Thank you.
All right, take care, buddy. That's nice. Fellow medical professional. Pharmacists really get what I'm doing here. This is the love of molecules is something that pharmacists are really steeped in to really feel a passion and a love for for the molecular nature of the body and how these things that we call molecules and chemicals, how they really interact with the body. So it's really nice to, I appreciate that, Champion. It's always nice to hear from fellow medical professionals who get what I'm doing here. Thanks again. All right, let's go to Georgia and talk to Todd. What's up, Todd?
got a question for you. What do you know about ringworm?
Ringworm ringworm's a fungal infection of the skin. Anytime you have some kind of immune or fungal reaction, fungal problem or bacterial problem, you want to focus on the immune system. We're constantly bombarded by funguses and bacteria, and we go through our lives in this kind of battle there's a kind of between us and the outside world in terms of bacteria and funguses, but we have an immune system that's supposed to take care of that. If the bad guys are winning, if the ringworm is winning, if the bacteria are winning and it's showing up on your skin as some kind of infection, then that's a sign that it's a possible sign that your immune system is not taking care of what it needs to be taken care of. So you want to deal with immune issues in two different directions. Number one, you want to eliminate things that are getting into your body that are suppressing the immune system. And number two, you want to take in nutrition and nutritional supplements that help build the immune system. So you're approaching all immune problems, and ringworm is classified as an immune system problem. It's a fungal infection. You want to attack it from two directions. Number one, you want to eliminate immune suppressing foods. The most likely suspects when it comes to immune suppressing foods are high sugar content foods, sweets, fruits, fruit juice, things that are super, super sweet. That's basically what you want to avoid. And then also processed foods. Same deal when I talk about insulin spiking foods. Foods that mess up the blood sugar system, foods that mess up insulin. So that's one strategy. That's avoiding the things that suppress the immune system. And then you want to start to take in supplements that build the immune system. And there's a couple key ones. Number one, the first thing I always think about when it comes to building up the immune system, the first nutritional supplement I think of is vitamin C. Now, most of us aren't getting anywhere near the vitamin C that we need to take under ideal circumstances. But if we're dealing with immune problems, or we're dealing with sugar problems, or we're dealing with any other health issues, vitamin C is a stress vitamin, and your body will burn through vitamin C when you're under stress, whether it's emotional stress, psychological stress, immune stress, or physical stress. So most of us who are not supplementing are going to be deficient in vitamin C, and there's probably no faster way to rag on your immune system or to lower your immune strength than to be deficient in vitamin C. I would be taking 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. Your BTT is a wonderful source of vitamin C, and that might be something that you want to think about. Zinc is also a very important immune nutrient, probably the most important immune mineral of all. Zinc, 50 milligrams a day is where you want to be, 50, and look for zinc picolinate, Picolinate. And the mineral selenium is also very important for the immune system. 200 to 400 micrograms might be something that you want to think about. And then as far as taking care of the ringworm topically, you might want to try a little colloidal silver. Colloidal silver's got some nice antimicrobial and antiseptic properties, and putting it right on it's also non-toxic, so you can put it right on the ringworm and use it as often as you like. All right, thanks so much for calling, Todd from Georgia. Our number is 866-582-9933. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Take a look at my website, brightsideben.com, and take a look at the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and all the fine longevity products we have up there. All right, we'll take a break and be back right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to The Bright Side. I am nutritional pharmacist Ben. Our number is 866-582-9933. Got a letter from Chris. He says, thank you for all the information you provide. I'm trying to help you heal the world through nutrition. I'm 42, 225, 6'2". I'm inquiring about my need to use laxatives in order to have a bowel movement. I've had diabetes, eye problems, as well as ED and gout. I was told that I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol after taking metformin for a year. Okay. The VA wants to put me on more medication, but I stopped doing any of the prescriptions after 5 years. I've been listening to your show for a month. After a friend sold me on the BTT benefits, I'm taking the BTT, the Sweeties, the Ultimate EFAs, whey protein, and a chicken egg every morning, and I feel fantastic, and my energy level has not been this good in years. All right, so here's the thing. As far as laxatives go and bowel movements go, there's a couple things you want to do. First of all, if your bacterial flora, the bacterial balance inside your gut is off, you can run into digestive problems, and after long-term digestive problems, it's almost a guarantee that you've got some kind of dysbiosis. D-Y-S, dys means something wrong, something broken down. Biosis refers to bacteria. So then basically dysbiosis means there's something wrong with your bacterial flora, and it's very common. The stool is actually made up 60% plus of dead bacteria. So if you have a problem with bacteria in the colon, with probiotics, with good bacteria in the colon, chances are you're going to end up with either constipation or runny stools or diarrhea. So the first thing you want to to do if you're dealing with any kind of constipation issue or loose stool or diarrhea issue, you want to get on a probiotic supplement. Find the best one you could find. Don't skimp. 80 to 100 billion units a day. And try to get 8 to 14 strains of bacteria, multiple strains of bacteria. So 8 to 14 strains of bacteria, anywhere from 80 to 100 billion units a day. That's a great probiotic. That's a wonderful way to treat constipation. Plain old H2O, water, is another great way to treat constipation. Whatever kind of water, whatever amount of water you're drinking, if you're constipated, double it. You want to be around a gallon a day of good, clean water, especially if you're dealing with constipation. Last but not least, high doses of vitamin C can act as an emergency bowel evacuant. If you've been constipated for a long time, that is not a good thing. Toxins will build up in your body. It's very important that you clean your colon out. Take a teaspoon of vitamin C, put it in water. That's about 5 grams per teaspoon of vitamin C powder. Put it in water, stir it up, drink it down, and maybe do another half a teaspoon every hour or so until you have a big watery stool, because that's what's going to happen, and you want to be near bathrooms because it'll happen pretty quickly. A second alternative, which I don't like as well as vitamin C, but it is effective, is to use high doses of magnesium powder. Now, you can use magnesium powder, same deal, put it in water, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams at a time until you have a bowel movement. You don't want to take more than probably 6,000 milligrams a day. You can also use magnesium citrate, or citrate of magnesium, which comes as a liquid that you buy at the drugstore or the health food store, and you can do 1 or 2 or 3 of those bottles, and those usually work pretty quickly. Magnesium citrate or magnesium phosphate also is another liquid magnesium that you can sometimes find. So liquid magnesium, liquid vitamin C, probiotics, lots of water, and that's the way you want to treat constipation issues, although the vitamin C and the magnesium are more for emergency needs. Drinking more water on a daily basis and taking probiotics on a daily basis is more of a day-to-day regimen to keep constipation from occurring. And by the way, diabetes, eye problems, ED, and gout are basically the same issue. They're inflammatory issues, and mostly they have to do with digestive problems. So it sounds to me like when you correct your digestive problems, you may notice that your other issues are going to improve as well. Thanks so much for writing, Chris. Appreciate your letter. All right, let's go back to the phones and see what Frank has to say. What's up, Frank in Wisconsin?
What's the difference between L-arginine and arginine, and does longevity have some powder arginine? And also, a lot of people have been telling me, because I don't work out a lot, but I've been doing the whey protein powder with the BTT, and they were like, oh, you're wasting your time. If you don't work out, that's what whey protein is for. And you're just wasting it.
I can't address stupidity, so I'm not even going to address that, but put that in the category of stupidity. Actually, put that in the category of stupidity with a capital S, and that's all I'm going to say about that as far as whey protein and working out go. L-arginine, the prefix L and D that sometimes occur before amino acids or before nutritional supplements refers to what chemists call handedness, left-handedness or right-handedness. L stands for left or levo, D stands for dextro or right, and chemicals are actually kind of like gloves. They have 2 shapes. Just like if you have a pair of gloves, both gloves are identical, but they're mirror images of each other. That's the way certain amino acids and vitamins are. They can be identical, but they can be mirror images of each other. The body will typically only use one form or another, the L or the D. In the case of arginine, it only uses the L form, and most forms of arginine won't even bother putting the L because they're all L. Nobody's going to sell you D-arginine or R-arginine because it doesn't do anything. So the L and the D refer to whether the molecule rotates light to the left or rotates light to the right. Basically, it means is it a left-handed molecule or a right-handed molecule? The body can only use one or the other. In some cases, it can use the In cases it can use the D. So if there's a molecule like arginine and only the L form is usable, a company that makes arginine may or may not announce it as an L form, assuming that most people will recognize that they're not going to sell you a D form, which doesn't do any good. So the L form refers to the fact that it's a left-handed type of molecule versus a right-handed type of molecule, but it's not anything that you necessarily need to worry about. All arginine that you buy, all reputable arginine that you buy, all arginine that you buy pretty much is going to be L-arginine. No, Youngevity does not have a straight arginine product. It's pretty cheap stuff. There are some multi-level companies out there that are actually making money selling arginine, straight arginine, and it's unfortunate because it just gives nutrition a bad name. It gives multi-level companies a bad name. It gives supplementation a bad name. When you have rip-off companies selling something that you could get for $20 for $100 or even less, you can get arginine for even less than $20 for the same amount that you pay for a multi-level company, multi-level company's version for a lot more money. Now, I like multi-level. I have no problem with that, but I think products need to be reputable, they need to be unique, and they need to have something that sets them apart, or they need to be reasonably priced. If you want to make a little money, I'm a capitalist and I have no problem making money, but you don't want to rip people off. And the multi-level companies out there selling arginine powder, straight arginine powder for $80 or $90 a pound, that's just unconscionable. Arginine powder, you can buy it at a health food store. Usually costs you about $30 for a big pound jar. You want around 5 grams of it a day if you have heart problems, or if you have, if you're an athlete and you're working out, or you're dealing with muscle building, if you're dealing with burns. We're going to talk a lot about dosing arginine tomorrow. But you don't need to spend a lot of money on arginine, and no, Youngevity doesn't have it, although Youngevity does have proteins that contain arginine. And thanks so much for calling. Frank, and sorry I was a little harsh on your friends talking about whey protein. Why would people say something silly like that? Protein is not just for bodybuilders, people, and whey protein is not just for people lifting weights. Whey protein is an unbelievably powerful source of protein for a lot of reasons, and we'll probably be covering that in the next, in the coming months and coming programs on the bright side. Okay, got time for one more call. Mike, in the land of the dead, whatever that means. What's up, Mike? In the land of the dead? Oh, okay. That must be what Mike meant, the land of the dead. I think we lost Mike. All right. Anyway, thanks so much for calling. Thanks so much for calling, Mike. Appreciate from the land of the dead. And thank you to all our callers, and thank you to all our letter writers. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate that you appreciate nutrition as much as I do. Folks, if you saw what I saw, and if you've seen what I've seen in terms of how much a nutritional supplement program can create changes, physiologic changes, changes in the disease state, health changes that drugs cannot touch, you'd be screaming from the top of the rooftops like I am. You'd be as passionate about this stuff as I am. If you are dealing with any degenerative disease, if you're dealing with any breakdown disease, please understand it is in the body's nature to heal. If you're dealing with cardiovascular health issues, if you're dealing with diabetes, if you're dealing with digestive problems, if you're dealing with Alzheimer's disease, if you have a friend who's dealing with some kind of breakdown disease or a loved one, please understand that you don't have to deal with the medical model if you don't want to. You don't have to deal with prescription drugs if you don't want to. There are alternative nutritional strategies that can literally rebuild your body, because that's the way the body is designed. The body can turn on a dime, folks, as long as we turn on a dime. Thanks to everybody. I appreciate all you guys. Stay tuned for Alex Jones next on most of these stations. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to y'all all later, folks. Bye for now.